I answer your questions. What is good, YouTube? It's that one camera guy back at again with another Q&A for you. I think this is week 4 where I take questions from the last Q&A video, and I also take questions sprinkled across the other YouTube videos and answer them in this episode. So maybe your question might get featured if you asked something this past week. Stay tuned to find out. If you're new to my channel and you're finding it for the first time, I go by that one camera guy. I make videos, tutorials, guides, and reviews on the Sony mirrorless system. If you'd like to catch the latest content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell when I produce content every single week on my channel. And my old subscribers, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button and let's go ahead and get started. So I do have a lot of questions this week, so we're going to go ahead and speed through them as fast as we can. Question from Mafia Sick G. He asks, I want to get the Alpha 6500, so do you think the 6300 is better? I have the A6000 at the moment. The only reason why I would say the 6500 is better is if you need stabilization, in-body stabilization, and a deep buffer for raw shooting. Those are the only two major reasons why you would go to the 6500. If you don't need those two things, the Alpha 6300 is perfect. Blake Takushi asks, what's the best way to grow your YouTube channel? I know I have good content, the growth is slow. I know those feels. You can have the best content in the world, but if you don't advertise and promote, you're not going to make it. So my recommendation is, you gotta research, check out two YouTubers, Roberto Blake and Daryl Eves on YouTube. Check their content out. They give you some really good advice and they teach you kind of how the algorithm is working. I check out their stuff all the time and I just try to absorb it like a sponge. I think that your stuff is like vlog type style. So there's some tips that they give, I think, in terms of just trying to work on those. But it's a tough market. But yeah, for me, what's working is making sure you know what tags are important. You got to research what people are searching. So I use a website called Google Trends. I type in stuff. I also type into the search bar for the autocomplete. Basically, YouTube tells me what are people searching right now. And I try to cater my videos and my tags, my descriptions, and all that stuff to that. And then when you do that, your stuff will be easily searchable and you're going to get a higher SEO score as well as rank with your tags, which will make you more visible to people. So those are things that I'm doing, and also consistency and making content consistently is big because the YouTube algorithm favors that. And something I learned, which is really crazy, depending on how your last video did, let's say your last video you released was really bad, YouTube will not promote the next video as well. So that's kind of scary. So those are some cool things that I've learned about YouTube and the algorithm. Other than that, I might make a video in the future, so Blake, good luck. Again, content is king. Your content, if it's absolutely very good, very well polished, you're using all these different tactics, people will find you over time. Cool QLTIR asks, hey, that one camera guy, can you do a review of the Sigma 30mm F1.8? It's right here. Working on it. I finally ordered it after like a handful of people kept asking and asking and asking. I kind of regret it, but I'm going to do it for you. Gordon Isbell says, congrats and good to know what your intent is on your content. I love your enthusiasm. Any plans in the future? Talking about the Alpha 6300, 6500 video capabilities, specifically gamma, S-Log, editing. Thanks again. The reason why I haven't covered it is because I'm not very knowledgeable on it. I'm not like the smartest person when it comes to like that S-Log stuff. I'd love to learn more about it. I was looking into getting like the Ninja Atomos, that really nice one, to learn more about how to handle S-Log footage, because I just want to have a good understanding of it. I think there is some resources already online that might do a better job. But if you kind of like the style that I do in terms of teaching, then I will look into it. It's just not my major priority at this time, but I can always learn. So that's something that's on the back of my mind. James Gardner asks, if I want to shoot more cinematic videos on my Alpha 6000, should I set my recording to 24p with 50 megabits per second? And what other settings should I set? To do cinematic video, these are the things. One, you're right. Set it to 24p or 25p for those in the region that it works at. Those are sort of standard for cinema. The next thing is color grading your footage. Color grading will give you that cinematic look, and also incorporating different types of styles of shots. Having control over your depth of field is also important for creating cinematic shots. Using gimbals, sliders, things like that can also add to the dimension and look of your footage. But cinematic is kind of a subjective term again, but yeah, color grading, 24p is a good starting place, and establishing and doing other types of shots will give that look and feel that it's more cinematic. Toro Visual says, great vid. I currently have the A6000 And it's hard to use because I don't get any gigs or small jobs. I know those feelings. I totally understand it. I try to use it when I can, and any help when it comes to getting small gigs. You know, I feel bad when I do my videos because I only have my backyard for quick access and I shoot photos there. Backyards are a good place to start. If you're tired of your backyard, go outside, go to the park, go to different places, go down to the city. Go anywhere else to inspire you to take photos. Look for events, look for weekend sporting things just to get some practice. If you're not already on Facebook, on Instagram, make sure you're consistently promoting and putting out work every single day. And then also make sure you're following people, engaging and talking to them. Facebook is an underrated area when it comes to getting gigs, I guess. But I don't know what kind of gigs you're looking for, maybe weddings and such. But definitely look at those avenues. And just keep promoting yourself. You got to keep going out there, promoting your work over and over and over. That's the only thing I can really give you. And again, just keep practicing, expanding your knowledge. You might have to underprice yourself for some gigs initially when you're just learning, but you got to start somewhere. Good luck. Cool Kid asks, what is a good all-around walking lens for the A6000? The 16-50 kit lens is a good starting lens. I would recommend that for any beginner. But since you said walking lens, I would personally say that the Makey 35 F1.7 or any lens in that kind of category would be good as a good walking around lens. And the reason why is since you say walking, it means you have time to take your photos. I just love working with the manual prime lenses because you get to set up your shots better. You work on your composition. You aren't zooming to create the shot. You have to move with your feet. These are all kind of those cliche type things I would say, but I think that's going to be a much better lens to get. Techno Extreme says, is there a possibility on doing an episode going over how I use my phone for my B-roll? I can definitely do that. What's really crazy is that phones, the sensors on them are getting so much better, and the quality of 4K is so much better on these phones. It's insane. And then now you have these gimbals that are being released that are going to add so much more depth and quality in your productions, that you could get away with doing really good video work with a phone and just use secondary audio in order to accomplish your goals. So no, definitely, I'll talk about it in the future, but it's crazy. It's definitely a crazy time, and it's weird too. It's like I could use my 6000 to film, or I can just use my Galaxy S8 Plus, and with good lighting, I would just use my Galaxy S8 Plus because it's got 4K. Alexis Flores says, how long would it take the Alpha 6300 to overheat? By just simply being outside and recording 1080p. When you record in 1080p, the camera doesn't overheat as fast, but it can still shut down. I can make almost any mirrorless camera shut down probably, with the exception of the Panasonic stuff. So here's my thing. It all depends on the temperature and the environment that you're in, because there is a sensor. There's obviously a thermometer or whatever it is, like some sort of way for them to determine the temperature, the internal temps. And when it hits that internal temps, it trips something in the camera that tells the camera, oh crap, I need to shut down or my electronics are going to get destroyed. Any of these cameras will experience that. I don't care what it is. I've had my Alpha 6300 in my studio setup. It was just on, right? I've said it before, and it shut down inside of my room. It was just on. It wasn't even recording anything, and it was shut down. Now, after the update, I haven't had any problems. So if you haven't done the update, make sure you do it. Or if you are getting the Alpha 6300, make sure you have the update and you activate the extended temperature option. But if it's really, really hot outside, you will have your camera shut down even at 1080p. I could argue for that. Seriously. If it's cool weather, you should be okay. Direct sunlight, I would try to put an umbrella over the camera. Stefan Wolf, would you say the Makey 35 F1.7 is a better overall lens than the 16-50 kit lens if I only had to pick one lens? It's not that it's better. It's just that it has a different look to it, and it does something different for you in your photography. I still think it's a good lens to start with because it's a constant lens. You learn how to move with your feet. I kind of answered this in another question. The 16-50 is just a really good starting lens in general, but I would say the Makey 35 F1.7 is a better lens to learn from. KMD says, what lenses would you recommend for the A6000 series to shoot tech reviews, unboxing, product videos, etc.? I purchased a few Sony lenses, but it doesn't give me the right look. Looking for something that'll be sharp, but can also handle close focal distance. The 10-18 is really good. You can get really up close to your shots. Well, this is not a 10-18 that I'm using right now, but the 10-18 is really good for the A6000 series. But I think I think what you're really looking for is lighting. I think what you're also looking for is your set. Because when I see like Austin, Linus Tech Tips, and the other top YouTubers out there that do these types of videos with technology, it's not that it's not that the high-end stuff that they use, they moved on to high-end stuff, you know, like Marquez. But that doesn't mean their videos are any better than anybody else. What I've seen that improves your videos is things like a gimbal, things like a slider, get better lighting, and just improving your set overall. So if you had $1,000, I would invest it in getting some lights. Like for example, in my room, I use the 16 to 50 kit lens. Like here's my table, you can see here, and I have a top-down camera. Like 90% of the time, I have my 16 to 50 kit lens on that thing, and the quality looks good. And it has a really close focusing distance, the 16 to 50, and so I get these really unusual wide shots that I use for my thumbnails. That's what I do, and it all goes down to lighting, how you edit your videos. Maybe get a good mic so you have good narration into your videos. All those things add up, and then on top of that, I don't know, you just have to get started. That's all I can really tell you. I mean, just get started and keep making videos. Like, I don't know if this is your main channel or not, but yeah, just get started. Keep making videos. You're going to get better and better over time. So those are really important things. Janice Alexpolos asked, hello, mate. I want to shoot sports, especially football. I own the Alpha 6000. What lenses do you recommend? I can't afford the 7200 f2.8 at this time. Any other options? This is where I get really frustrated with Sony because there's no third-party options yet, but I can't blame them because it's still brand new. What I would recommend, Janice, I know I answered this question with you, but I've been thinking about it again. If you really need an f2.8, I would sell the A6000. Use the money and get either a Nikon D7100 with the Sigma 7200 f2.8, or even look at the 60D, maybe 70D depending on your price, and get a Sigma 7200 f2.8. That's the way I would look at it. And then if you have more money, and if you really wanted to go to Sony, sell those two off. You're going to take a small hit, and then go ahead and upgrade. That's the bottom line. I mean, you really need an f2.8 if you're going to shoot low light stuff, and the DSLRs are still king when it comes to this because it's more affordable, and Sony's just really expensive right now. Meow Chow Tan says, I like the way you do your Sony A6000 custom settings for the camera. Do you think you can do one for the A6300 and the 18-105? I'll definitely do a custom settings guide for the 6300. Definitely check out my 6500 custom settings guide because it covers similar things. It's just the menu looks different. Sorry, I can't pronounce the name, and I think you've asked the question before in the past. Are you going to make a video with the A6000 and the 28mm f2? If the 28mm f2 fell down right here in my hands right now, I would start working on a video just for you. It's just not on my radar right now, and I'm trying to get inexpensive things to review and to test because I have a limited budget, and you know, as much as I'd like for the company to send me things, they don't. And they don't do it very quickly, so I'll try. It'll be on my radar. PJ1982 _ says, what if you put the 7800 f2.8 G Master on the A6000? Am I going to get that much better depth of field over the f4 lens? It's such a big difference in price, these two. I'm shooting with the 6500 and wish Sony had more APS-C lenses. I completely agree. I absolutely agree. You know what's funny? There was a person, I think, that said, they were laughing at me because they said, Sony's not going to listen to you. I went up to Sony. They said they do look at the videos, and I even had them on camera say it. So for those people out there that are skeptical, they do apparently look at the stuff, and they did tell me to be constructive and give constructive feedback instead of getting overly emotional like I did in my overheating video. So take that, you haters. All right, so answering your question with the 7200 f2.8, here's the thing. What you're looking for is you have more control over your depth of field. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a substantial difference. Honestly, it's just you're going to get better low light performance with your f2.8. That's the way I would look at it. The benefit of the f2.8 is that you can use the 1.4x and 2XL converter, so if you absolutely needed more reach, you can. And like I said, it's just better for low light. If you like the DxO stuff, if you like to go to that thing, it does state that the f2.8 is very, very sharp. The f4 is good too, so that's what I would say about it. Eric Mungali asks, for the next Q&A, I'd love for you to go into detail about the settings you use for shooting soccer, specifically on the A9. On your lens, there's a switch on the 7200G Master. It goes from 3 meters to infinity. I move it to that switch when I know my subjects are pretty far away from me. On my A9, I don't do any back button focusing. It's all stock. I use lock-on AF, center point. Well, not center point, but I make like a medium-sized box, and I just hold my shutter button halfway when I see a target that I'm going to shoot. That's what I do. It's pretty simple, and I use the fastest frames that are available. I haven't really messed too much with the other tweak settings that I can mess. I haven't really tweaked the other settings so much, but that's what I've been doing so far. I haven't gotten into the sports season yet in the high school arena, so when I get like more time and practice, I'll let you know. Ralph Ray says, you need to get more subs. Your channel is very underrated. Thank you. I really appreciate that. He says, I currently have an A6000 and wanted to get more serious about my photography. I have an FE 50mm F1.8, an FE 2870, and a 16-50 kit lens. I have around $1,000 to spend. Is it better to get a lens or a full frame camera? Choosing between the 90mm macro and the A7 II. Man, it's funny, you have two full frame lenses, so I would say it makes sense if you sold your A6000 and your 16-50 kit lens and went straight to the A7 Mark II. I think that would make sense. Your two lenses would breathe new life because you're using a full frame sensor. That's the way I would go about that process. So as far as seriousness in photography, unfortunately, Rock, I don't know exactly what you're trying to do. If you were going to start doing portraits, I would get the A7 II and look at getting the 85 F1.8 Sony. That's what I would recommend. So hopefully that advice kind of helps you out and give you some perspective. But since you have full frame lenses, the full frame sensor is going to make those lenses stand out more, and you're going to get better results with it. Taylor asked me a long question. Damn it, Taylor. All right. I have the A6000, number of APS-C lenses to go along with it. I primarily enjoy shooting landscape and wildlife, but find myself shooting a bit of everything from time to time. That's me sometimes. I am thinking about upgrading my camera body. I'm considering the A7R2 or the Alpha 6500. I know they're different in features and price, but I'm torn. The Alpha 6500 is the newest in some of the best new features like autofocus. A7R2 is not as new, but it's full frame. Of course, high megapixels. The A9 is way out of my range, but I know the A7 III is on the horizon too. I know I might having to get new lenses for the full frame, so that's not really a deciding factor for me. What would you do in this situation? If your photography is not affected by you waiting, wait for the A7 III. But here's the problem. When the A7 III comes out, you're going to be thinking, what would the A7R Mark III be? A7R2 is going to give you some really good photo quality results already. So between the A6500 or the A7R2, I would get the A7R2 because the A6000 and A6500 are very similar in nature as far as what their target audience is. So the A7R2 is definitely going to give you some better results. And yeah, it's a little bit slow with the autofocusing, but it's still pretty damn good. I would say you're going to just love your stuff more with the A7R2. So that's what I would do. Rohit Sinha asked, love your videos, kindly suggest which prime lens to buy for my Alpha 6300, either between the 35 f1.8 or the Sigma 30 f1.4. If you're primarily into photography, get the Sigma 30mm f1.4. If you do video, get the Sony 35 f1.8 because it gives you lens stabilization. So get the Sony one if you do video. Sigma if you just do photography. I'm not sure how to say that. Erop, what to buy? A6000 plus Sigma 30 or A6300 without a lens? Okay, that's really odd. I primarily do video and want the Sony NEX. And have the Sony NEX 5T with the 18-55 kit. Since you're doing video, you need to get the 6300. You get that slow motion and you get the 4K. So there's no question about it. Save your money up, do what you gotta do, get the Alpha 6300. Batan Bekrama, I don't know if I said that right, Bekrama. If you're in my position starting a channel with just a GoPro and a Galaxy S6 Edge, what would be your advice for me? Find a way to get good audio, so you might want to do a lapel. Audio is very important in your videos. I don't know what type of style of videos that you're doing. GoPro is good to start with, and I think the Galaxy S6, I don't know if that does 4K or not, but I think 1080p should just be fine. Maybe get yourself a smooth Q, I guess this was a Zune smooth Q. With your Galaxy S6 or even a gimbal for the GoPro to improve it. Get a tripod, get some lighting, things like that. That's what I would say. Don't worry about getting a nicer camera. I don't think it's going to really help you right away. I would just wait and save up money. Stefan Saraki asks, great channel. I'm huge with adapting on the A6000 and G7. Great help with menus and camera operations. Do you follow Think Media TV? I do. And he gave a lot of great resources, and I follow him on his teaching products with how to kind of enhance your YouTube channel and get better results. So yeah, I do follow Sean Cannell. So there you have it. If you have any additional advice for these questions that were asked, please leave them in the comments below. And if you have any questions that you'd like me to address in next week's video on Sunday, please leave them in the comments below as well. I greatly appreciate it. Once again, if you found some value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other content. And with that said, I'm your host, That One Camera Guy, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye. I'm so tired. There's a lot of questions.